YouTube, how you doing? I know lately we've been kind of crazy about marking days, international days of this or that. Today we have International Human Rights Day. And the reason why we're posting this video today is because there's been an issue that's really important to us as a family, and I think really is important to all of us as gay people and as human beings that we need to talk about. I don't know if you've heard about the bill in Uganda that will imprison Ugandan gays. Let me give you some backstory. Basically, it's put forth by certain lawmakers who have ties to religious groups, and what happens is Ugandan citizens will report on people who they know are gay. If they don't, and they don't do it within a 24-hour period, they could be subject to 3 years in jail themselves. If you have sex with somebody who's under the age of 18, or if you knowingly transmit HIV, that is considered aggravated homosexuality, and that carries a sentence of death. So we're looking at a possibility of either life imprisonment as a gay person or death. At any rate, this counts as genocide. And how is this different from other countries where gays are already being killed, like Iraq and a whole host of other countries? Because we can do something about it. We can put some pressure on Uganda. They rely on us for federal funding, and they have ties to churches in our country that are pretty much in bed with the lawmakers that are putting this forward. People like Pastor Rick Warren, who led President Obama's inauguration speech, several lawmakers that belong to a religious group called The Family. The last time I heard the term The Family, it involved the mob, so make of that what you will. Pretty much, there has been little to no speaking out about this from a lot of religious groups. A few have. And America has been very silent about this. When Darfur was undergoing genocide, we had a massive campaign to put pressure on people to stop the genocide of those who were being killed there. Uganda, not so much. And part of that, I think, is because it targets gays. Why should we care? Aside from the basic fact that it's another human being who's being persecuted and killed, which all of us should care about, the fact that we as Americans have been exporting the ideas that are making this possible makes it a little bit our responsibility to help stop it. I have no problem with churches going out and being missionaries and spreading their ideas. But when we get in the business of propping up governments because they back up our ideologies, and we destabilize others because they don't agree with us, we start tampering with things that we really shouldn't tamper with. And a lot of the churches now that support the government in power in Uganda have influenced the lawmakers there who are now putting forth this bill to basically imprison and kill the gays there. So while they don't want to admit that they have a part in that, they do. And recently on Rachel Maddow, we had Richard Cohen, who is an ex-gay, who sponsored a book called Change is Possible, and that was cited by the very person who drafted the bill himself, that being gay is a choice. It's not the way you're born, that people can change. And these are the ideas that make it possible for them to look at gays as criminals instead of as human beings who are born the way they are and just looking for love and life on their own. Recently in Pam's House Blend was a great article that was posted by Mara Hennessy, and it basically involved a conversation she had with an international friend in Paris. And I'd like to bring up a couple quotes because I think they're really important. Basically, her point was, and one of the quotes it says was, that the U.S. could not afford to point the finger as it had not only tolerated the export of evangelical intolerance, but had encouraged it as an official foreign policy from the era of Ronald Reagan onward, resulting in the deplorable rule of Fujimori in Peru and various Guatemalan right-wing movements, as well as creeping infestation of the Mexican government. In that era, it was all about combating communism, ending the influence of left-wing clerics supporting liberation theology. The U.S. was actively involved in brokering what kind of religions would be supported in South American nations in order to attain a foreign policy goal. Were the U.S. to condemn Uganda strongly now, the states might be embarrassed, as other instances of U.S. expansion of the rule of their First Amendment, the freedom to worship Jesus in whatsoever right you choose, would eventually come up and prove to be a liability to American political interests south of the Rio Grande. It has kind of an anti-American tone, which I don't necessarily agree with, but the point is essentially there. That we've not only been supporting dictators and knocking down other dictators, we've been supporting religions and knocking down other religions. And when we do that, our beliefs cease to have merit because we are no longer practicing what we preach. Now, if you want to send a missionary to another country and tell people why what you believe is important and grow your church, that's important, and I think that's something we all should do. But when we start pushing our ideas on other people, we've crossed a line. She continued to say that I heard that people are upset by the comparison of gays to African Americans, and they should be. That gays are not the new blacks, they are the new Jews. I'm not even going to go into that. Sooner or later, the killings will begin, and not only in Uganda. And then what will we do? Who will invade Nigeria, Colombia, Guatemala, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, and Russia, as those churches see that the United States did nothing to stop Uganda? So countries that are already sharing ideological commonplaces with countries like Uganda see us do nothing. They see us do nothing to defend the people there, so they begin to draft their own rules. And pretty soon it becomes killing and hanging gay people is okay in lots of different countries around the world. And what happens here is the people who are pushing back our rights in this country become emboldened by that attitude as well. And it becomes an attitude of not only stopping our rights, but looking at how they can roll them back. And that's how the little pebble of Uganda that gets dropped in the ocean ripples out and comes back to us. So, we all have something that we can do to help stop this. I blogged about it twice now. One important thing you could do is send an email to the president. Send an email to your U.S. representative. I posted a link to that on the website, and those email addresses are www.usa.gov. You can go there, and there are links to send emails to the president or to your representative. Also contact the UN at www.un.org, and we'll post links on the side to that. All of us has something to say about that, and we need to put pressure on lawmakers to let them know that this is important to us. Otherwise, they will be hearing from religious groups putting pressure on them, saying that we should do. So make your voice heard. Okay, so to add to this, bringing it back to World Human Rights Day. You know, we're Twittering, we're Facebooking, we're doing things all the time. It takes you about 10 seconds from whatever your mobile device is to fire off one email today. And that's really all it takes. If all of us each did one email, that would be an incredible amount of pressure being put on the people who can make a difference. You know, we should be saying something as a country that supports freedom and life. So everybody get out there. Please make World Human Rights Day